Farmers are the base of our society by feeding us every day. But to be able to work properly, these brave men and women need to have what is called potash to use for their fertilizers. And you know what? The world's largest potash producer can be found in Canada under the name Nutrien with the ticker NTR. So today we'll make a full stock analysis on this company to find what is its true intrinsic value. As always, we'll first start by taking a look at what is their business model, so how are they able to generate their income and what are the most recent news that have affected the value of this business. Then we'll make a quick fundamental analysis followed by price prediction with different valuation models to find whether or not this company is currently under or overvalued right now. Canada is by far the world's largest producer of potash by being able to produce over 15 million units and having a reserve of 1.1 billion metric tons in 2024, which is quite more than the second largest producers of potash in the world, which is Russia, that has been producing over 9 million tons of it in 2024. Only by itself, throughout that same period, Nutrien has been able to sold between 13.5 and 13.9 million tons of potash in 2024. So it makes that this type of business is pretty valuable, especially for the US that imports every year close to 90% of their potash that is used by their farmers, where in total of these 90% imports, 85% of it comes from Canada. Potash is extremely important for farmers to develop their fertilizers because it provides plants with potassium, a vital nutrient for growth and development of the crop. So knowing that nutrient only by itself represents 22% of the total demand of potash worldwide in 2024, it is quite fair to say that they have an extremely essential business model. However, it is important to understand that the potash market is known to be cyclical. This means that potash price and production tends to follow periods of high demand and price followed by periods of lower demand and price. This cyclical nature is influenced by factors such as global food production, economic conditions, and geopolitical events. It is why the global production of potash was of 60.1 million tons in 2014, rising steadily to 71.9 million tons by 2021, before falling to 64.6 million tons in 2022. To illustrate this extreme volatility, we've seen that in their latest earnings report, their total net sales and adjusted EBITDA have been slightly falling, which was partially driven by a massive decrease of their net sales and their adjusted EBITDA from the sales of their potash. The company on its side has justified this decrease by being linked to lower net selling price on their potash products, even if they've had some record sales volumes. It is also interesting to note that Nutrien isn't only known for their great potash products, but also for different other products into the fertilizers as well as for the agricultural field. For example, ingredients such as nitrogen and phosphate. And so in 2024, Nutrien has been able to generate some total revenue of slightly below $26 billion. What is also pretty interesting about the performance of this company since the beginning of the year is that while the market has started to crash, we've seen that it has been the total opposite for it. This comes even after multiple tariffs imposed by President Trump, where he has decided to impose potash tariffs at 10% on April 2nd. However, since at the moment the US are massively dependent on the potash coming from Canadian exportations, it means that these tariffs will directly impact all the farmers in the US that will see the cost of production increase, meaning that the cost of a lot of ingredients and a lot of food will also increase in the US. Nevertheless, by creating an additional cost that will be paid by Nutrien when they want to export their products in the US, this will also impact the company in a certain way where they'll basically need to also lower their total expenses or at least increase the price of their products. And it is why certain layoffs could be coming over the next couple of months concerning this company. However, as an investor on your side, it could be a pretty great idea to invest in Nutrien if you're looking to earn a lot of dividend income from their 4.3% quarterly dividend, as well as investing in a company that is extremely important for our global economy. But now let's see what the valuation metrics are telling us about whether or not this business is currently under or overvalued right now. over the past couple of months, we've seen that Nutrien has been losing a little bit of its total value, where it went from $27.90 billion at the end of 2023 to about $25.61 billion right now. However, with the bad earnings reports that they've recently been reporting, we've also seen that their price to earnings ratio have been more than doubling during that same period, meaning that regarding this aspect, this business would currently be overvalued. However, we can still see that their price to sales and their price to book ratios of only about 1 are excellent, meaning that on that regard, this company would currently be undervalued. In terms of their profitability, we can see that Nutrien has had some pretty low profit and operating margin of less than 10%, with some extremely low return on equity over the past 12 months of less than 3%. Throughout that same period, this Canadian company has been generating some revenue of about $25 billion, with some slight decrease in their quarterly revenue growth over the past quarter of about 10%, and with some extremely bad quarterly earnings growth of less 34% year over year. Also, at the moment, we can notice that the current cash position of only $853 million is quite far from their total debt that is close to $13 billion, where we also have a debt to equity ratio of about 52% right now. In terms of the volatility of the company, as always, I'll be using the beta on a 5 years period to determine how this company will tend to fluctuate over time. And with a beta of only 1.10, we can understand that this company will tend to fluctuate about the same as the global market, but over the past 52 weeks, we can see that it has been only gaining about 0.38% of value, while the market on its side has been gaining about 5%. Another interesting aspect, especially for people looking to receive great passive income from different companies, is the fact that Nutrien is currently distributing a dividend of about 4.15% right now. However, we can see that with a payout ratio exceeding 100%, it would mean that this dividend wouldn't necessarily be sustainable in the long term. Finally, to determine what is the true intrinsic value of Nutrien, we'll be using, as always, different valuation models to help us with this task. Starting out with the Peter Lynch one, which is a simple formula where you add the future growth of the earnings per share with the dividend yield and that you divide with the price to earnings ratio. And even if this company currently has a pretty high dividend of over 4% with a 9 P ratio, we can see that the results are showing that this company's value would currently be quite overvalued right now. Now for the second model, which is a dividend discounted model, we can see that with the past 5 dividend payout that have been paid by the company over the past 5 years, and with the average growth rate and the weighted average cost of capital, we can see that our intrinsic value would currently be indicating that this company would be undervalued. For the third model, which is the discounted cash flow model, where we'll discount all the future free cash flow of this company to find what is its true intrinsic value, we need to first find what is the cost of debt, the cost of equity, and the cost of debt and equity to find our weighted average cost of capital. And with this, we can find that the current intrinsic value of this business would be quite undervalued compared to its current price. Then for the two last models, which are the Graham's original value formula and the Graham's revised value formula, and we can find that with both models, the current intrinsic value of this business would be quite overvalued compared to its current price. As you've been able to see in this video, Nutrien has an absolute essential business model for farmers all across the globe. With essential products such as their potash that is used by different fertilizers, they are producing essential products that are used to feed us. However, even if this business is still essential for us, it remains a cyclical business, which means that it will come by cycle. And so with the different tariffs imposed by President Trump on Canada and on Nutrien, it might make that this type of business will be facing some quite rough time over the next couple of months. Nevertheless, Nutrien remains a pretty interesting company if you're looking to earn great dividend income from it, knowing that they are giving over 4% of dividend per year to their shareholders. Personally, however, I wouldn't invest money right now in this company because even if certain valuation models are showing us that the value of this company would be quite undervalued right now, I do personally believe that there are better choices to invest your money right now in the global market. So on your side, if you're looking to find other different companies that could be quite interesting for you to have on your watch list for the rest of 2024, well, check out the video that's gonna be right over here and I will see you soon. Peace!